Hey, I'm grateful to be able to share some of my thoughts with you guys today, especially on what I think is a very exciting topic because it's the beginning of a new year, right? And I'm not really one of those people that's like, we have to start on a Monday, we have to start at the beginning of the month, we have to start at the beginning of a new year, right? We can always start changing things. But there is just something about entering an entirely new year with a fresh start, clean perspective, leave behind, anything that happened in the past year. I still can't believe this is entering 2026, but here we are. So, with that said, I think that one of the most important pieces of seeing results, right? Whether you want to feel better, whether you want to move better, or whether you want to look, I don't want to say better because we're good where we are, but healthier or stronger, or you want to lose weight, whatever your goals are, right? You want to look differently. You want to look different than from where you are now. Every one of your goals are valid, and I understand that we all have something that we are working towards. But the most important piece is you have to have a plan. And I'm not saying a plan like I'm going to work out 3 days a week. I'm going to hit this water. Those things are important, but those to me are my action steps, not necessarily the overall plan. So I want to just kind of share some thoughts with you, maybe a few analogies. You guys know that's kind of how I love to teach, but really strike the importance of something that I find is overlooked a lot, especially in coaching and being that I feel like most of what I focus on is like the changing the shape of the body, but I've transitioned this past year as I've started doing one-on-one coaching for the first time. And in actually working with all of you, so many of you individually, right, for hours each week, I have come to determine one very common theme. And I struggled with the same thing. So I was like, okay, it wasn't just me, it is all these women, and I want to focus more on that. So this is kind of what we're going to talk about today is I don't think that for us to get where we want to be, that we need to try harder. I think a lot of times that's what we say, right? Eat more protein, walk more, exercise more, do this more, right? Be easier on yourself. I don't necessarily think the goal is to try harder. I think the goal is to better understand ourselves. And that's probably the biggest takeaway I've had from working with so many of you guys individually this year is that we don't understand why we do what we do. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And if you can grasp this, so many things hopefully should click. And then you can step into this next year being where you want to be. Because I don't know, my rah-rah speech for you is I don't want anyone to feel stuck. I don't want anyone to feel like if you feel overwhelmed, stressed, tired, if you feel low energy, if you feel like how I did, where I was constantly cranky and irritable with my kids, you're not stuck. This is not the you forever. This is just not how it is, right? And sometimes we try all kinds of things and we still feel that same way. It's just a matter of understanding what to do to get you out of it, right? We only know what we know. And if you've tried a few things and they haven't worked, there's always something else to try. It's just a matter of finding out what that is. If you want to move better, right? Maybe you want to get up off the floor without feeling pain. Maybe you want individual exercises to be better. Maybe you want to do a pull-up. Maybe you want knee pain to disappear, right? There's all kinds of things in moving better. Hike, keeping up with your kids or grandkids. But then there's also the element of wanting to change the body, which I think most of us like to focus on, right? Where I think overall health and feeling good is the most important thing, the foundation. But I do understand that as we get those things in check, then our habits shift, then our body shifts, right? Our body changing, our body composition, whether that's losing body fat or gaining muscle or getting toned, which is a combination of both. Um, Something else has to change, right? You cannot keep doing the same things or thinking the same things or buying the same products, or doing the same workouts or eating the same, having the same mentality, because those thoughts and things that you've been doing have gotten your body to where you are currently. So if you want to be somewhere else, right, we have to change you, not just the habits, but you and how you think and feel. And to do that, we need to understand where you're coming from. Then your habits will shift. You'll do things differently. You become a new identity of somebody that does get up early, does hit their workouts, does stick with things more, and that takes time. Then, ta-da, the body changes. So the byproduct is the body changing. Think of it as a, here we go, analogy, right? I compare our bodies to a car a lot. But if you are building a car, right, you've got the base and the wheels and the structure and the frame, and then all the little things, the stereo and the seating, right? All those things go on at the very end after the structure is there. But not until every piece, right, the major components of the car can it actually move. And then the byproduct is the car drives. The same with our bodies is we have to put the effort into changing our habits and who we are, especially for long-term success. The byproduct is fat loss, right? The goal is not to lose weight for next year. The goal is not to weigh 130 pounds. That is a result. The goal, the individual action steps are, what do I have to do to lose 30 pounds or to weigh a certain amount or to gain more muscle or to feel better, right? All the things that we are capable of doing, we just need to know how. So this is what we're going to cover, but we're going to talk about understanding ourselves initially because that is going to be the foundation, right? The framework, the body of the car before we can put the seats and the leather and the stereo and the tires and everything on the car. So this is kind of how just I view it. I feel like this has helped most people that I've worked with. Um, is a couple things I want you to think about with this new year. And we're going to talk about the understanding ourselves. So, when we have a new year and we always think, what do we want to focus on? What are our goals? What are our intentions? Basically, where do we want to be in 6 months or 12 months, right? And I think the majority of us, or at least that I talk to, would say, yeah, I still want to be somewhere different. I'm not necessarily happy with where I am. Like I look down at my body and it's like, whose is this? I do remember having that thought after my fourth kid. I had put on a swimsuit and it did not fit. Like the sides of the swimsuit was so far in, like I had a fat roll on top and bottom, you couldn't see the side of the swimsuit, and it had used to fit, right? So it's not that big a deal. But for me, it's a body I didn't recognize because I looked down and I'm like, this used to fit. Who have I become that has different habits that now is 25 pounds heavier? Because I'm a different person with different habits, and then the body just reflects where we are with those habits, right? It's just the result, the byproduct. So I didn't say like, oh, there's a problem with weighing 25 pounds more. That wasn't the problem. I mean, I didn't necessarily recognize how I looked and I had to buy a new swimsuit, but it was more of who have I become, meaning my habits. And I had not become somebody that was in a very good place because I was constantly irritable and cranky, and the mom guilt was horrible. And I don't know if you're like this, but I would lay in bed at night and all I would think about are the things that I did not get done, didn't accomplish, or all the times I yelled at my kids instead of laying in bed and being proud of things that I had done and how I showed up. So, it's really important that our perspective and understanding who we are and what we're doing, right? And plus how the process works. So when we look back on this past year, 2025, a few things I want you to think about. I want you to analyze, and this is all going to be a homework assignment, so don't feel like you got to do this now or write everything down. I prepared some sheets for you that I will share. Coach Mitzi will share every single day in my app and my Facebook group. My Facebook group is free if you guys are in there and you're not in my app. The challenge basically of things just for you to think about. There's no physical part you have to do with this. It's just brainstorming and brain dumping and figuring out who am I, what am I doing, and why am I want to do it. So these will be activities that we'll do. So one of them that we'll send you that I want to talk about for a minute so you understand why I'm having you do it as far as like homework assignment, if you will, is the impact of we have to look what we did this past year. So if you had certain goals, let's say, I mean, it could be anything. It could be in the three categories, right? We've got mental and physical. So I always call that physical is like movement, and then we've got nutrition and food, plus a myriad of others, but those are kind of the three, basics that with health and fitness we focus on. And so for each of these, like you look back and maybe one of your goals was, I want to not be so hard on myself. I want to talk nicer. I don't want to beat myself up. I don't want to compare myself. I don't want to have the all or nothing. I don't want to give up. I want to be consistent. Plus a whole bunch of others. Like I want to try to love and embrace my body or be patient or get rid of the scale, whatever it is, right? Movement could be, how did you move this week? I want to walk more or exercise or try a different program or get out of my comfort zone or prioritize it or lift heavier weights or more outdoor activity, right? Anything with movement. And we do want to focus on movement each week because there is a value to movement, but there's also a value to food. And it could be from, I want to understand how to have a better relationship with food. I want to quiet the food noise, get rid of sugar cravings. I want to be able to go to a restaurant and not stress about my macros that are on it, right? That's that healthy eating. I want to understand what macros are and types of food. I want to go in a grocery store and know how to shop. More fiber, more protein, more water, right? Less alcohol. It could be anything. Do I need to keep going? Because I feel like the list is like 5,000 piled high on us. Do you need to do all those things? No. Do I do all those things? Hell no, right? But I'm aware of all of them and I pick and choose what I want to focus on because we have to pick things that we have realistic expectations with. I can't change 30 things in all those three categories. If I could, I would already be doing those things, right? So I have to step back and say, okay, I, for one, have a certain kind of personality, right? Some of us just get things done. We commit to something, we have lists and order, and we keep track of it. We've got to-do notes. We thrive on doing things and not on chaos. We like the checking the box, right? At the end of each day of doing things, and we just get stuff done if we commit to it. And others aren't as consistent, right? And I usually always ask this question, you guys have heard me say this, of do you like to floss? Or do you floss, I should say. And usually people say, to include myself, well, I intend to, I have floss. It sits right next to my toothbrush, and I think I should do it every single night or morning, but I get it done like once every 2 weeks, right? This is what I usually hear. And so I've always said, okay, so then that's a really good indicator of what your personality can be like because there's nothing easier than flossing. It is super cheap. Like that little thing of floss is dirt cheap. It is next to the toothbrush, which you're already going to be doing, right? So it's like a habit stack of if I'm going to be brushing my teeth, I might as well floss at the same time. So they're there together. It takes just a couple seconds, but we can't consistently do it, right? So you can consistently brush your teeth, which is great, but flossing, if we can consistently floss, that usually is an indication of can we consistently stick to other things also. And from all the statistical questions I've asked, most people that don't floss as often as they want also struggle with other things. It could also be I plan on cleaning the toilets in the bathroom every Tuesday. I don't. By the time I get to it, it's maybe Friday or Saturday. Do I grocery shop on a certain day? Do I stick to my cleaning schedule? Do I get in bed at a certain time? Um, how am I getting back to friends? Like whatever it is, there's consistency in your life with literally almost everything. Are you good at paying your bills on time, right? If you can consistently not do something or consistently do something or consistently be all over the place, it kind of gives you an idea of how you're going to be with your health and fitness, which is a realistic expectation that we have to be aware of so we don't feel like a failure. So just because you don't clean a toilet on a Tuesday or shave your legs on a Wednesday, where you're like, oh, I'll shave on Wednesday when I'm in the shower, things that need to get done but aren't life or death. If we don't get them done, we just move it to the next day or the next day. And then you don't say, hey, I have no self-worth, compare myself to someone else that's a great toilet cleaner and shaver of legs. We just say, I'll get done when it gets done. We don't also say, I'm never going to shave my legs again or clean the toilet because it didn't get done. But for some reason with our health and fitness, and I understand the body's a very tender thing, it is us, right? But we have a much higher standard to where if we don't do something for a few times, we give up altogether. And we also take it, some of us, to a point of being really hard on ourselves with self-worth. So this is why this is important to recognize that some of us have an easier time of being consistent, period. That's going to also apply for health and fitness. Do not feel bad about yourself. Just know, look at myself. Who is my identity? I am someone that's not super consistent. I have great intentions and I want it. But then we have to look at, well, why can't I stay consistent? Which is when I get into the whole point of what I said is we don't necessarily need to try harder. We can try and try and try and put effort in. But if we don't understand ourselves, why we do certain things, then I feel like we sometimes spin wheels. Some people are able to overcome that. So that's what I want to talk about. So when we look back on this past year, I want you guys to think about all the list of, things you wanted to focus on. Of any of those, plus anyone that you did, maybe you wanted to meditate more or write in your journal or spend time with children, right? The whole family category also, which is very important. I think about that, right? And the assignment that we'll give you guys is just a mental thing to help you write these things down. And I want you to be able to focus on what did I say I would accomplish? And what did I accomplish and what did I not accomplish? Because we have to look at the why. So if you, let's say you said you wanted to walk more, right? That was your goal, one of your intentions for the last year. And so let's look back and you say, on average, I started in the beginning of the year walking, let's say 3,500 steps a day, right? So we take 7 days in a week, we add it all together, divided by 7. That would be your average day. So that is your average day where you started. And look at where you're ending, right? Whether you keep on your phone or your watch. And maybe you've moved up to 6,200 as now your average. That's phenomenal. You met your goal. You decided, I want to be someone that prioritizes walking and gets more daily steps. So on day one, your identity, I am statement would have been, I'm not someone that really takes time and effort and prioritizes walking. I walk when I happen to walk. And then that's the number for the day. Versus by the end of the year, because of your action plan and doing things and following up and forgiving yourself and giving yourself grace and not quitting, you're now average of 62, which is actually a very huge difference. And that will make a difference in how we feel, our digestion, and also in fat loss. So that's a great thing to focus on. So then I say, great, why did you accomplish that goal? The why is the most important part. Yes, kudos for reaching the goal and increasing steps. You'll see the byproduct in the body. But I want to know why. What did you do that you were able to accomplish that goal? So when you actually analyze, yeah, why did I reach that one? And let's say you had one of wanting to eat more protein and you didn't. Day one of protein, you average maybe 60 grams a day. The end of the year, 12 months later, you're around 65 grams. You're pretty much in the same place. So you think, well, why did one of my goals did I reach and why did I not reach another one? The why is what is such a big deal because we want to look at who you are, how you think, how your brain operates, the feedback loop, the story you tell yourself, the framework on our brain, right? So with with walking, break it down. How have you always like, was it an immediate when that first month? Did you just jump up and say, hell or high water, I'm hitting 6,000 steps a day and then force yourself to do it? Or did you have a realistic plan to where you just said, okay, every single day I'm going to increase it by 50 steps, right? And throughout the whole year, that gets you up. Or maybe you went out and bought a walking pad or a treadmill, or you decide, no, I'm going to the gym every morning at 7. I'm going to start my day there. Or at the end of your gym workout or home workout, you said, nope, it does not end until I get 20 minutes of walking in. And that increased it just a little bit. Or maybe your plan was, I'm always parked at the back of the parking lot. Maybe your plan is to set a timer on your phone and on the hour every hour. I don't even care. My island right here in my kitchen, I have spent many times walking around and around and around that just to get more steps because I knew that that was something that I really wanted to focus on because I know the health benefits and I told myself I would do it. And if I don't want to go outside, right? So you can set timers, you can just you increase slowly. You don't jump up to where you want to be because if you could be doing 6,000, you already would, right? So we become someone that by the end of the year we can say, yeah, I am now someone that prioritizes walking and I get a higher step count. They are two very different people. And so because you came up with a plan, you talked through what worked for yourself, set timers, set times, parameters. Um, give yourself, leniency, like, okay, out of 7 days, I will hit it 5 days. And I give myself 2 days where there's grace where I don't get close, right? So if I'm totally off, okay, it is different for everybody. But look at what worked for you and why you stuck with it, even when you're frustrated or it was slow or you didn't want to do it. And then take those same concepts to other habits you want to change. So then we can look at protein, where it's one, let's say you did not meet, there was no change through protein. So we have to look at the resistance. That's what I would say. So there's resistance to anything that we don't get done. Resistance can be lots of things. Resistance can be kids. With every one of your meals, they fought you and fought you like, we don't want this meat, we don't want this protein, we don't like this. And so you had to make meals that necessarily weren't as high protein or focus on the kids, right? The resistance would be people that are also eating with you didn't want to eat the protein. Maybe just be resistance is lack of knowledge. Maybe you don't know how to increase protein or what foods are higher protein. Or, I mean, I remember when I just thought of protein shakes when I would think of protein. I'm like, well, I think protein's in meat, but I didn't fully understand it because I didn't know much about nutrition when I first started. So the resistance could be my lack of knowledge, right? My resistance could be I can't do whey, so I can't do protein shakes, or I don't do animal meat. So then how am I supposed to hit it, right? So our type of diet might be the resistance. It could be I just don't know how to fix certain meals, right? The resistance could be I know I should do it, I just don't care. It's not a priority, but I know that I should, right? That's resistance also. So maybe you don't like dairy, you don't like a lot of foods that have protein, so it's just hard for you to hit, right? So then there's some frustration there. So the resistance is what's keeping us from getting to our goal. The resistance is everything. You pick a habit, you will have resistance, whether it's our own self internally, lack of motivation, sometimes laziness, a lot of times lack of knowledge, lack of support in the home, um, or then the reasons if I just need to know better, I don't have a program to follow, or whatever it may be. So when you look at the resistance, then we've got to say, okay, if I bump protein again to next year, I can't just do the same thing because the same resistance will be there. So you have to look at the resistance and you have to think, what is my plan of attack for the resistance? So if it's per se, you don't necessarily know what foods have protein in them, right? Then and that resistance is every time I go to the grocery store, I get overwhelmed because I don't necessarily know what to buy, or I don't know how to increase. I feel like I'm already gagging on enough protein, right? So then my thought is, if you don't know additional foods to purchase, then one way around that resistance could be just eat more of what you're currently cooking, which I call plus one. So if you're having, one egg, have two. You have 2 slices of turkey on your sandwich, have three. If you have 4 ounces of chicken, have five. Build every salad and every meal with the meat first and then fill up on carbs later, right? So if we need to pull carbs from fats, or excuse me, calories from fats or carbs, great. Increase it with the protein. Don't just overall increase calories, but pull it from somewhere. And so, the resistance would be your plan of how do I get around this, right? Oh, easy place to start is just have a little bit more of what I already like and I'm already cooking and I know how to buy. The resistance might be I want a protein shake or I want a protein bar, but I just don't necessarily know which one it is. Well, ask someone that you trust. I've got tons of recommendations, right? It's just that knowledge that might be our missing link. And we have resistance in many, many ways, right? If it's the kid issue and it's like, well, they're not going to eat what I want to eat, it may just get down to you fix the meat first and do 2 meals, one that's a little bit more kid friendly, one that's a little bit, better suited for you. So at least the hard part of the meat and the planning is the same. We just kind of segue. So it's just kind of figuring out ways to get around it. But the first thing is, I just can't hit my protein. It's so frustrating. I don't know what to do. I just can't do it. But when we look at the resistance and actually map out all the reasons that we think are keeping us from hitting it, then we can actually go backwards and work with a plan of action to overcome that. And that's where the freedom comes, right? So we've got to look at why did I fail? And then with your step count, where the system worked, try to take some of those same concepts and then put them towards a different habit. because you know that's what works for you specifically with your personality. So then, you can look back and review the year and you're like, wow, there were three things that I did amazing with that I stuck with, and maybe four things that I didn't and I couldn't stick with. So then when we plan for next year, the upcoming year, what are your intentions? What are your goals? Meaning, who do you want to become 6 months into the year, 12 months into the year, and so on. And it could be somebody that wants to walk 8,500 steps now, right? You're getting a little aggressive and competitive with yourself because you saw that you can do it. And maybe, no, I need to focus on protein again. But our plan of action has to be different. Maybe it's you have someone to be accountable with. Some of my one-on-one clients will send me pictures every night of something they were supposed to eat every day because that's their goal. They want to do it. And they know that having to send it to me, text me every day is just the they need to force themselves to do it, right? And I'm not mean if they don't do it. It's just some people just need accountability, or like, hey, do I do this or do I do this? If I add this, is this too high fat? Is this more protein? What food has more protein? And so it's just kind of getting some of that knowledge, but you can't repeat the same goal with the same action plan with the same resistance because we're probably most likely to have the same situation unless some things have massively changed. So, please know that looking at the why did I not reach that goal again, maybe for the fourth year in a row? I have been focusing on more water and better sleep for years. And then I had to come to the moment of truth of like, I just don't care enough. Mic drop. That's it. I don't care enough. So, yeah, does it impact me? Oh, yeah. My recovery with less sleep, my orneriness, the fact that I crash in the middle of the day, it impacts my workouts. There's a lot. Sleep is very, very, very important, and I know that. But as a single mom of four kids, trying to run this business and survive and pay all my bills, I end up working really late at night, trying to stay on top of everything. That's just my life situation. Now, there's things I could change, people I can hire, right? But do I care enough to do it, or is it just easier to do what I want to do and then sleep less? So if I actually get real with myself, if I wanted to sleep more, I would make it happen. It would be a priority, but I prioritize something else instead of that. Same with water. Like two that are things that are really easy. I can track food. I can get to the workout. I can get up at 6 a.m. I can do all these things. But the easier things are what I struggle with, which ironically. But if I wanted to drink more water, I'd be doing it. Right? So that's the reality of it. And we just have to have that truth to truth talk with ourselves. I've had those same goals. So with water, my plan for this next year, because I do know the impact of it, I get dehydrated really bad. Had a few issues with that. And so it's like, okay, to come to, light moment of I need to really adjust this. This is the year I'm actually going to care about it, like care enough to do something. But I have to do it with realistic expectations of what I can do because the resistance in the past was I jumped too aggressively and couldn't stick with it and then just bagged the whole thing. So that is my resistance as I get overwhelmed and I don't want to worry about it. So what am I going to do this year is there's a couple things. For me, one thing that works is getting like a milk jug, right? A gallon, but with water. And I write lines on it. And at first, like the goal would be to drink the entire thing, right? So I would have a line of 8 a.m. all the way down to like maybe I want to stop drinking by 8 p.m. Every line throughout the day, I have to drink enough water to hit that line. So I have a visual representation. Um, some people like to set out 8 glasses, mine right here, in front of them, full of water. So all day they walk by it and they're like, crap, there's still 3 full. I have to have that gone. The visual can be very helpful. But what I realized is with my gallon, I can't drink a gallon. If I could drink a gallon, I'd be drinking it. So I cut it into thirds. So this top portion, when I first started this, like I used to do this a while ago, would be like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. just in this bit, because this is something I could handle. Okay, I could drink that much. I can hit those lines maybe every other hour. And then as I got better, I can just draw the whole gallon at a half. So this is one day, this is one day. And as I get better and better, and I have more confidence in doing it, I have more desire to do it because I've seen and proven that I can. So your confidence grows. Then I can get through the whole jug, gallon of water throughout the whole rest of the day. But I wouldn't just say drink the whole thing because if I could, I would be. And I would get overwhelmed. So I have to, instead of putting 8 glasses of water on my counter full, maybe I only put 4. Build that confidence. Well, that was easier than I thought, right? But you must have an action plan. You cannot just say, I'm going to drink more water. Maybe for a small amount of people that works and you're amazing, please share how you do it. But for the majority of us, we just don't care enough to do it. We don't prioritize it. We don't understand it. We don't know it. Maybe we're doing it, but we're not seeing the results we want from it, right? And that's a whole other topic of resistance. And that's an important one because I hear a lot of people, and I have struggled with this myself sometimes, saying, I do all the things. Why can I not lose body fat? Why am I still inflamed? Why do I not feel more recovered? Why am I so tired? Why can I not let go of the sugar cravings, right? All the things I think a lot of us struggle with. Why do I still have the bad thoughts, the noise in my head, right? Where we want to protect our peace of good thoughts, not beating ourselves up. And so there's a lot to think about of why do you do what you do? So yes, do we need to try harder? Our level of effort is important. The more effort we put in, the more we'll see. But sometimes the trying harder is requiring an action plan also. And that's where the action plan is I got to understand why I can't stick to this. You got to do a deep dive, do a brain dump, get a piece of paper, brain dump, all the different things. Well, I don't want to do it because of this, because this, because of this, because of this. And then we do another brain dump of, well, okay, if I take one or two of those resistance, how can I overcome that? So if you want to look or feel or move differently by the end of this next 6 months or a year, you've got to have your moment of how bad do I want it, right? Because there's sacrifice, because you currently are where you are with all the habits you're doing. Now, you may be tracking your food, but you may be under eating, and that's why you're not losing body fat, right? You may be working so hard, kicking butt in the gym, but not either following the right program or not lifting heavy enough or not enough recovery in between or not getting enough protein or food to fuel that and then get the muscle back. So you're like, I'm doing it. Why am I not seeing results, right? So then it comes down to the resistance is just what more do I need help with? Right? There's something I'm missing because I'm putting in all the effort, but I need to understand myself, meaning I need to understand the food I'm eating, the quality of food I'm eating, how much sugar I'm eating, how much protein I'm eating, the timing of my food. Am I eating enough calories, right? And the same goes with fat loss. I think the majority of women have a fat loss goal, not weight loss, because weight loss is muscle and fat and water and pee and everything else, right? So we want to be very specific because our words mean something. We want fat loss, meaning a very different plan, right? So your action plan is you need to be in a calorie deficit. But if you don't know how much you're eating, you don't know what a deficit is. And if you're under eating, you also will not lose body fat. So the number of how much we're eating is actually really, really crucial and important to know. And we maybe have been under eating and doing too much cardio, which has also messed the body up. So we need to pull out of that, right? So there's a bit of science to this. And that's where we say, well, how bad do I want to change? And do I really want to try to understand maybe just tracking protein or just tracking calories? You don't have to track macros. I realize a lot of people also have a little bit of a relationship with tracking food, and it's not great. And I don't want to lead to disordered eating. So there are other ways to try to figure out how much you're eating. But tracking and weighing it is the easiest if it is something that is doable for a certain amount of time that is healthy for you with your relationship, being sensitive to that. Um, and then having a strength plan. Because if you're not lifting weights or eating enough protein, one of the first things you'll lose after water and inflammation is going to be muscle. Body fat, as much as I hate to say it, is the last thing to go. So that's why when we say lose weight, and it's a little, I don't want you to lose weight. Because if you're not strength training with heavy weights at least 3 times a week with a progressive overload plan, that does not count, sadly, for Pilates or other things because they don't stimulate muscle protein synthesis enough to build muscle. They'll do a lot of other good things, but you need a hit failure strength program to maintain as we age and combat all the problems in the world. You need a strength plan. Still do Pilates. I love reformer Pilates, but I've done them. I did them for a couple of years, and there's a massive difference between the two, and they both complement the body. So your plan of what you're doing also gives you a certain result. Group class fitness classes are amazing for community. I think it's a gateway to get into the gym. I've done them. I enjoy them. They're fun. I feel proud and accomplished, and they're a great place to start. But please know it does not hit muscle protein synthesis with failure for an individual person to build and maintain muscle and give you a toned body. Certain genetically amazing people may be able to see that, but there's a lot more going on in the background. So we do need to understand that to build and maintain muscle sucks. It can be a little bit hard, especially as we age. So if you're losing body fat, you've got to be able to focus on maintaining that muscle because otherwise we just lose weight and it's going to be muscle first. So then you get to the end of it and you're like, I still feel soft. I look the same, but just smaller, but soft. And it's because we've lost a lot of muscle. And then body fat is the last thing to go. So it's frustrating. I wish the body worked a little bit easier. But again, those are just pieces of resistance. And that's the beauty of we get to look at where do you want to be in 6 or 12 months? I need you to know you're not stuck. I'll repeat that again. If you have had babies or children, I understand the stages of life of being 4 kids myself. It can be overwhelming. It is stressful. It is tiring. I've collapsed many, many a times in tears of like, I don't know how to get through today. I'm overstimulated. There's too much going on. I don't know if I can do all this, let alone looking at my body and wanting to feel better and look differently. And then when you do bust your butt and you don't see the results that you want, that's just like, I'm out. The little bit of bandwidth I had has now been sucked out because what I am trying to do, I'm not seeing results. So that's where I would like to be able to help you. If you guys need more additional help or coaching, that's why I do my one-on-ones. Let's look at everything you're doing, right? We got to assess everything you're doing to see where we want to get you. And it's just a 12-week program. So guys, ask anybody. It doesn't have to be me, but ask anybody if what you're doing in the sense of isn't working, but you feel like you're putting all your effort in. It's just a matter of doing it a little bit differently and having someone that understands the process and understanding your body type. And most importantly, understanding the why for the reasons of what you're doing. Now, if you're like, I just want to start, or I've been starting and stopping so many times, I can't stay with something, which I've done both of those different camps. It's a matter of understanding you, right? Why do I do this? Why am I so hard on myself? Why don't I love myself? What about it actually needs to change for me to look in the mirror and see myself as worthy? Because we are all worthy no matter what our size is, right? But I am here in conclusion just to tell you, you can always change. This is going to be your year. You just need to decide, yes, I'm stressed. Yes, I'm overwhelmed. Yes, I probably work and have all these kids. Maybe you're a single mom like myself, which is very overwhelming. Um, all of our situations are so different. Maybe you don't have a support system. Maybe you have everything in place, but you just don't have the umph to do it, or you don't believe in yourself, or maybe you've done this so many times starting over for the new year and you've never stuck with it. So the thought of starting again, I don't even want to start because I don't want to feel like a failure and that I couldn't do it yet again. Those are very, very heavy things. Which is why we talk a lot about the mindset in coaching, because you've got to understand giving yourself a safe space and protecting your peace. Because I think ultimately, from talking to enough people now over the last 5 years of coaching, just, I mean, gosh, thousands of women, and they'll say, well, I quit because I wasn't motivated or I wasn't seeing results. And I challenge that a little bit. I want you to ask yourself, if I was in that position, because I think we all yo-yo, we cycle, right? I do myself. Did I quit? Did I stop doing that? Did I not focus on it anymore? Because really, like I wasn't seeing results or I didn't feel like it. Or, which can be some. But the majority of people I talk to say, no, I quit because the noise in my head was too loud. Meaning I'm not seeing results. So then I beat myself up and I compare to someone else. And I think about it constantly. I become obsessed with it. The scale is like the biggest part of my day. The noise gets too great. I don't want to feel like a failure again. So it's easier just to stop. Guys, those are very tender, heavy, heavy emotions that I don't want anybody feeling. I've been there. It's not a great place, right? We have one body. We are ourselves. We're in essence saying, I don't like me. And that's a very hard thing to work through. So the goal is to protect your peace, right? So yes, we're going to try harder, but the goal is to better understand ourselves, why we do what we do, why we stick with things. That also means understanding your body type, understanding what food works for you, understanding why you're inflamed. I've battled inflammation this year, as I've shared a little bit on my stories. I've been able to figure out what it was, what to do, work through it. But it's taken me months, right? Because I needed to stop and say, the result is fine, but I need to understand what my body's doing and what it's telling me. And then we work with it. And that's where the magic happens, especially with fat loss too. So things that I know that are important to you guys. So a lot to talk about, a lot to think about. So when you're looking at where do I want to be in 6 months, 12 months, I want you to be able to, as these kind of mini homework assignments that we'll give you, I want you to really think about that and the why. Why is that important to me? That goal that I set. Again, goals are not, I want to weigh a certain amount or I want to lose a certain amount of weight. Or even I want to bench press my body weight. Those are byproducts with an action plan. So the mini goal to bench your body weight, which is I've been working on that for a little while. I love physical goals. That's what gives you a reason to be in the gym, not just fat loss, because we don't go to the gym to lose fat, right? We go to change the shape of the body and a million other reasons. And so you have physical goals. Like that's why I'm there. And so the action plan is, well, I need to warm up better. I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to do this with my workout structure to then build up to get strong enough to hit that. If you want fat loss, then we need to look at, am I tracking? Am I not tracking? For what reasons? Why? What type of food do I have? Am I insulin resistant? Am I under eating, right? Those are the little mini steps that are your action plan. So set your goals of being, I want to become somebody that has a better understanding of food, is better around my maintenance, is better in a deficit, has a healthy relationship with food, is eating more whole foods and not as much sugar, overcoming sugar cravings, reducing my inflammation, right? Those are the goals. And then we work with an action plan back. So I will give you some thoughts to kind of help stimulate what the action plan can be. If you guys need to just even jump on a half hour or 1 hour call and dissect this with me, I do those. It's just a small charge for G4Fit members, a little bit more if you're not a G4Fit member. If you want one-on-one and I'm in your back pocket for 12 weeks and get you where you want to be, that's phenomenal. I can work with you one-on-one. So just let me know how you guys want help because I want you to feel differently this next year. I've done it myself. I hope you see part of your story in mine. There was no one lazier or less knowledge than myself. It can be done, but you have to switch in your head and tell yourself, I'm going to do this, right? So when you want the food versus you want to feel healthier or not be as cranky from sugar, you got a pain point. You got to pick which pain point is heavier, right? Is this craving for the sugar what I need more right now? Or am I going to feel better because I put the sugar down because no, you don't need it. And who holds the power, the sugar or you, right? And then the pain point of I'm going to feel like crap after. It's going to I'm going to be more irritable. It's going to be extra calories I don't need. You have pain points for everything. So you just have to get to a point to where which pain point is greater with which habit you want to change, which will make the biggest bang for buck in your life, which is going to help you with feeling better. For me, when I reduced my sugar to almost nothing, because I was a total sugar addict when I first started, that's what started this whole journey with sugar and me yelling at my kids. You guys know this, my story. It was sugar. So I reduced that to almost nothing, just one treat a day in the beginning so I could get a handle on it, changed my entire freaking life. 3 months, I was a completely different mom and have not yelled at my kids since. They will all attest to that. Sugar wrecked me, the amounts I was eating it, the amount of my carb load. My body just couldn't do it. And I was a monster. And the mom guilt was terrible. And so feeling good and showing up the best self is a big deal. So just pick where your biggest pain point is. Because for me, I thought, well, my kids live with me. You know, in 15 years, they're going to be sitting around a bonfire and they're going to talk about being raised by mom and they're going to describe me and what are they going to say? And that is my why. Because I realized if I didn't change back then when I had, oh my gosh, was tired, stressed, dead, irritable, they would describe me as someone that didn't seem very happy and that yelled a lot. And that is not how I want my kids to remember me. So I thought that's my pain point, right? I got to switch this because my kids will remember how I made them feel, and everyone else around you will also. And so I want you, most importantly, to also feel good and to love yourself the same manner. So let's look on what we did amazing, what we didn't do as amazing this past year, and look at the whys. I'll be passing out, like I said, Coach Missy will probably share some of the things I created, just prompting you guys to think for the future. So I need you to believe in yourself, right? That's the first step. You have to believe that you can change. You have to look at your pain points and decide this is greater. Is it going to be hard? Yeah. Do you think cutting out sugar when I was a total sugar addict was easy? No. I can talk you guys through that also. I've got a whole bunch of tips. Sugar cravings suck. They control it. And for me, like I tell my clients all the time, it's the power. Who holds the power? And we've got to switch the power. And for me, it was the sugar. So it could be lack of motivation, it can be anything. But the question is, who holds the power with this decision? And do you like that they have the power, or do you have the power in that situation? So these are all things we can focus on for the next year. So know that I'm so grateful to be able to be even a small influence. Thank you for listening as I ramble on about these things that to me are important because I've lived this. I'm on this side and I'm still on my own journey. It's never done. It's constantly growing and constantly trying to improve things. You get something good and then you weaker on something else and it's just up and down. But I promise you, I feel better. I'm healthier. I move better. I feel more comfortable in my skin. And that confidence is amazing. And then you show up as a better wife and spouse and mom and employee and sister and all the things that we really want to be. So this is your year of trying hard, yeah, but better understanding your body. So please let me know how else I can help you. We are here all the time. We're adding a lot of things into the app this year. I'm redoing the power program, so all the workouts and exercises will look differently. We've got quite a few weeks. I'll start updating those, a whole bunch more nutrition, mindset, things that could be self-led, and then obviously my one-on-one program. So if you guys need help, if you're tired of feeling stuck, sometimes it's just knowing better. And I'm hoping you can get some of those resources from us. So you guys are the best. Please reach out, any questions. I'm excited for this year.